center and the #1 tennis player in the world, beat Shelton 7-6, 6-4, and 6-4. The 22-year-old Shelton was attempting to become the first African-American man to win the Wimbledon championship since Arthur Ashe in 1975. One of the perks for Hampton and North Carolina A&T getting chosen to play in the NBA HBCU Classic is that each school will receive a $100,000 donation from the NBA. The NBA also covers all travel expenses for both teams. Hampton and North Carolina A&T will play each other during NBA All-Star Weekend at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. The All-Star Game is February 15th. This will be the 5th HBCU Classic sponsored by the NBA. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. I do not consider myself a fan of Sean Puffy, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Diddy Love, Brother Love Combs. But one doesn't have to be a fan to acknowledge a simple truth about his recent jury trial. I think the primary reason he was acquitted of those sex trafficking and RICO charges is because he was overcharged in the first place. Mine is not to opine on his guilt or innocence on any of the charges the feds brought against him. But I predicted months ago that he would beat the most serious charges because, as usual, prosecutors have a really bad habit of overcharging black men. Dave Chappelle said it best, Puffy is in a RICO case all by himself, man. Hilarious and arresting at the same time. When prosecutors put a target on the backs of black men, they throw everything at them just to see what sticks. And too often, just like in the Puffy case at the very end, they move to dismiss some of the charges and then double down on the ones they think they can win. It's racist and it's wrong, and somebody ought to say so. I think I just did. Not for the benefit of Puffy, but on behalf of all the other black men who have been and sadly will be woefully overcharged in the future. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback. Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me. Back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley, and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavismiley.com. That's thetavismiley.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, Roisha Moore Evans, founder and principal strategist for Equity Empowerment, takes us inside her former role as the inaugural executive director of the very controversial Harvard Legacy of Slavery Initiative. You've been reading about it. More on that squabble up in just a moment. In our third hour.
Tennessee.
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 Lord, I've really been real stressed, down and out, losing grass. Although I am black and brown, problems got me pessimistic. Brothers messing up. Why does it have to be so damn tough? I don't know where I can go to let these ghosts out of my skull. My grandma passed, my brother's gone. I never at once felt so alone. I know you're supposed to be my steering wheel, not just my spare tire. But Lord, I ask you to be my guiding force and truth. For some strange reason it had to be. He guided me to Tennessee. Take me to another place. Take me to another land. Make me forget all the hurts. Let me understand your plan.
Speech, the two-time Grammy-winning founder of one of conscious hip-hop's most iconic groups, Arrested Development, joins us today in Hour 3 to talk about their new album, which just dropped. It's called Adult Contemporary Hip Hop. Gotta love that title, right? Adult Contemporary Hip Hop. It's been a minute since we last talked, so I look forward to speaking with Speech in our final hour today of Arrested Development. In this first hour, 2 more conversations on the B side of this hour. In advance of our conversation with Roisha Moore Evans at the top of hour 2 that I just referenced, we'll talk with Sean Wynn, former president of the Harvard Black Law Students Association, who will lay out the controversy surrounding the Ivy League institution's slavery project. Again, I'm sure many of you have been reading about this if you haven't. It's a fascinating story about Harvard and slavery. So again, we'll talk about it on the B side of this hour and sort of set the stage for the way many students at Harvard certainly saw this issue or see this issue. And then we'll talk to Roisha Moore Evans, who was the inaugural executive director of the project in our second hour. Got all that? Okay. All that said, in just a few moments, we'll be joined by the legendary South Carolina Democrat, Congressman James Clyburn, to kick off our program today. But before we get to that, let me start with this. Yesterday, my esteemed colleague and my White House correspondent, Cortez, had some FaceTime with President Donald Trump, asking the president a couple of consequential questions. Take a listen.
Mr. President?
Yes, please.
So 2 questions, one on tariffs, the other on the IRS. On tariffs, China is reportedly softening their impact on U.S. tariffs in Africa, announcing last month that they would halt charges on imports for nearly all of its African partners.
Good.
Does this move by China influence your thinking, your approach to tariffs on the continent?
Well, we treat Africa great in many different ways, including with tariffs. But, parts of Africa charge us tremendous tariffs, as you know. And they're going to be dropping those tariffs. They've already informed me they're going to be dropping those tariffs. But we treat Africa far better than China or anybody else, anyplace else. Yeah.
And on the IRS says that churches can now endorse political candidates. What's your reaction to this, and how do you expect this to influence some of the work that's afoot on the continent? There's a lot of American churches that are missionaries doing missionary work on the continent. Do you support that?
I love the fact that churches can endorse a political candidate. I think so, because we have a lot of respect for the people that lead the church, for the pastors and the ministers and the rabbis and the all different leaders, all different religions, and people respect those people. And I think there's nothing wrong. It was a very big penalty if that took place just a little while ago. They had a thing called the Johnson Act, and it was a very big penalty. I think it's great if a pastor, minister, priest, rabbi, and we could very much go into your religion, by the way, which is something that people are having great respect for throughout the world. If somebody of faith wants to endorse, I think it's something that I'd like to hear. And I can guarantee you the people that they're with every Saturday or Sunday or whenever it is they're with, they want to hear from these people. And it was a very severe penalty. Those people were not allowed to speak up. Now they're allowed to speak up. No, I think it's terrific.
I don't know how Donald Trump knows what Nicolai's religion is. You heard that part? We can talk about your religion. I don't know that Donald Trump knows what Nicolai's faith position is. I'm not sure I know. I've never asked him what his faith tradition is. I don't even know. But leave it to Donald Trump. Anyway, that was my White House correspondent, Dr. Nicolai Cortez, querying Donald Trump yesterday as the president hosted a summit on trade, investment, and security with the leaders of 5 West and Central African countries. And then Donald Trump did it again. Take a listen.
Mr. President, we thank you for this opportunity to be here. Liberia is a longtime friend of the United States, and we believe in your policy of making America great again. And we also go a long way with you in your diplomacy that has to do with economic development and commercial friendship. And we just want to thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, thank you. And such good English, such beautiful. Where did you learn to speak so beautifully? Where were you educated? Where?
Yes, sir.
In Liberia.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's very interesting. It's beautiful English.
Sure.
I have people at this table can't speak nearly as well.
Very
and
good,
they-
sir. Anybody care to guess what the official language of Liberia is? This stuff would be laughable if you. What did you learn to speak such good English, Mr. President? That's Mr. Bokai, the president of Liberia. I'll stop for now. When we come forward, a conversation with James Clyburn on Tavis, Smiley.
California to the Carolinas.
Everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Hey man, hey, what's up, bro? What's that station you listening to? Oh man, you don't know? That's Talk Radio, KBLA, 1580 AM. Check it out. 1580 KBLA AM. 1580 Talk Radio. Progressive.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're celebrating our 4th anniversary, and this track right here is the gift one of our devoted listeners presented to us.
Where you get some information, get a true education to know. Ooh, yeah. 1580.
How cool is that? Having a member of our KBLA delegation write us a song. Stop it! Our listeners love us, and there ain't nothing we can do about it. Wouldn't want to. Thanks to Cardell and everybody else for turning on KBLA Talk 1580. We love you right black.
KBLA 1580 Talk Radio. Get it like me. Ooh, KBLA 1580 Talk Radio. Progressive.
Hey, listen to this. All I needed was a new starter. Got a great deal on eBay. Did it myself.
Yeah, that's cool. But how about the soft purr of an upgraded exhaust when it fits just right?
For me, it's the little things. Like these new windshield wipers from eBay I installed.
From small fixes to big upgrades, eBay has all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Made fresh daily in Leimert Park,
Los Angeles, California.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
So I know you want to hear that again. I've got James Clyburn, my dear friend and brother, on the line. I'm Tavis Smiley. Glad to have you tuned in. I know you want to hear it again because I know you just laughing your behind off. James Clyburn, of course, has heard it. The whole world has heard it. I saw this morning. It is the most trending video literally around the globe. So here's your president yesterday doing it once again.
Mr. President, we thank you for this opportunity to be here. Liberia is a longtime friend of the United States, and we believe in your policy of making America great again. And we also go a long way with you in your diplomacy that has to do with economic development and commercial friendship. And we just want to thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, thank you. And such good English, such beautiful. Where did you learn to speak so beautifully? Where were you educated? Where?
Yes, sir.
In Liberia.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's very interesting. It's beautiful English.
Sure.
I have people at this table can't speak nearly as well.
One of my colleagues just said to me, Mr. Bokai, his English is better than Melania's, but I'll leave that alone. Congressman Clyburn, good to have you back on, my friend. How are you, sir?
Tavis, I'll tell you what, if you're going to have me on the show, do a better entree than that, man. I'm messed up now.
You know, I was thinking last night in preparation for your coming on since the last time you were here, we've had two of these moments with African leaders. So since you were last here, we saw the way that Donald Trump humiliated and embarrassed Cyril Ramaphosa from South Africa when he was in the Oval Office. Right. So that was just a humiliation of the worst kind. And we talked about that on this program. And then now you got 5 more African leaders there, and we get this yesterday. What is it with Donald Trump and leaders of African nations, Mr. Clyburn?
He cannot seem to give due respect to human beings, to people's accomplishments. And it's almost as if I remember I grew up in the little town of Sumter, South Carolina. Mm-hmm. And I remember being interviewed one time, and this reporter asked me, where were you born and raised? I said, right here in Sumter, South Carolina. She said, well, you're so articulate. You got that education in South Carolina? I said, well, from first grade through 2 years of postgraduate right here in South Carolina. I said, well, what makes you think because we talk slow, we can't think fast? And so it's kind of, it's interesting. But that's Trump's problem.
Yeah.
His whole thing is, if you are from a, quote, S-hole country,
yep.
You cannot measure up to these people who come from these other countries, maybe European, but for some strange reason, by that place of birth, it elevates them to some superiority or some supremacy that he respects, and nobody else is deserving of it.
Yeah.
It's the most amazing thing in the world to me.
Yep. James Clyburn, I've known for years, and he's been dropping great one-liners on me for decades now, and I've never heard that one. But for all of my Southern friends, you can now use James Clyburn's defense. Just because we talk slow, don't mean we can't think fast. Credit
Absolutely.
James Clyburn when you use it. There you have it. Courtesy of James Clyburn out of South Carolina. So let me get more serious now, because that was laughable in some respects, but I take your point. It's not funny at all, given that he just cannot give the respect to people they deserve, and it just so happens if there's melanin in their skin, they get less respect. But I digress on that for now. Since you, again, were last on this program, the big ugly bill, as Democrats call it, was signed into law on Independence Day, of course, July the 4th. And I said on this program a few weeks ago, Congressman, that one of the things that the Republicans did that was pretty slick was to really put most of this pain that people are going to feel for years now, that pain won't really be felt until after the midterms. These tax cuts kick in almost immediately, no surprise there. But they've calculated this out in such a way that they can, at least they hope, get reelected, retain control of the House, and then the real pain for everyday people kicks in months from now. But largely speaking, what's your sense of this bill, the impact on Medicaid, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, you're absolutely correct. You can't blame them for doing what they did. But you will be able to blame us Democrats, if we let them get away with it. And we should not let them get away with it. In fact, I started a couple of nights ago and I'm going to continue to talk about how to keep these draconian cuts from coming into play. We can reverse this. It comes after the election, but no future Congress can be held to what a former Congress did. So in the very next Congress, we have got the opportunity to stop these draconian cuts from taking place if we get the right composition of the Congress. And that is the House and the Senate. And dare him we're going to pass a bill and dare him to veto it. So that's the thing to do. It gives us an incentive going forward to help get people out to vote. You want to stop this $1 trillion cut from taking place? You want to stop these draconian SNAP benefits from coming into play? Then let's go to the polls and get a new composition of the United States Congress that will not be held to what this Congress did. And that is the way we ought to go about this.
So I see you flipping the script. In other words,
absolutely,
they're putting in again these cuts that take place after the midterms. They thought they were being slick by doing that, so they could potentially get reelected before people start to feel the pain. But your point is, it does give Democrats time now to campaign, to convince people that they and only they can stop these cuts from happening if Democrats take control of the House in the midterms.
Absolutely. You know, down here in South Carolina, when I first got started in politics, we used to have a saying: the best way to tell what a person will do is to look at what he or she has done. And if you look at this guy, he voted for these cuts. Like Josh Hawley, he voted for these cuts, and he's up for re-election this year. So what makes you think he is going to vote to eliminate that which he already voted for? So if you want to know what he's going to do in the future, look at what he did in the last in this Congress, and let's make sure he doesn't get the opportunity to continue. So we just got to develop a message, get some good messages, and go out there and tell it like it is. And that's what we need to do. And I really believe it's a winning message. Just see, he did it before, he'll do it again.
I've not been around as long as you've been around. I'm not as bright as you are when it comes to these things. But as you know, I've been covering. No, man, I've been covering this stuff for years. And the thing that I know, and I know that you're always transparent with me, you'll be honest about this. Democrats, I take your point, but Democrats aren't always the best about staying on message. I like the message. I like the frame that you're in, Congressman. I'm just concerned about Democrats staying on message.
And so am I. You're right about that. You know, when I first started studying politics, one of the things I learned that a person needs to hear something 14 times before they will retain it. And so for some reason, Democrats feel that if I go to this group, I need to say this, and the next day I need to find something else to say, and the next day something else. No. Get you three. My dad, the fundamentalist minister, told me early on, he said, son, I do the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. I want you to do this. Here's what I will do for you. Here's what I'm going to do for your family. And here's what I'm going to do for your community. Do that in 15 to 20 minutes and stop talking. And that's what we have to do. Stick to a sharp message. Say it over and over and over again. That's what the other side keeps doing. They will lie. And sooner or later, you're going to stop believing the lie. So what we've got to do is tell them the truth, but tell it to them over and over and over again. They'll begin to retain it. So you're right. We do go out and one-liner today and look for a new one-liner tomorrow. You get a good one-liner, like we talk slow, but we think fast. Keep saying it.
I like it. I got about 5 minutes left with you. Let me cover 2 more things right quick here. Speaking of Democrats, I've been watching the way that establishment Democrats have been going after Zoran Mamdani in New York City. It's another one of these moments where Democrats just are fighting publicly about the direction of the party. I think on the one hand, there are lessons to learn from what Mamdani was able to do in New York City. I know you endorsed Andrew Cuomo in that race, but there are lessons to learn from what he pulled off on the one hand. On the other hand, I've also said on this program that because he did that in New York doesn't mean it's necessarily replicable across the country. So I have two thoughts on this, but that's just me. What's your read on this, Congressman Clyburn?
Well, I have two, like you. Number one, as I said on some TV show a couple of nights ago, I lost 3 times before I got elected to the office. And when I lost in the Democratic primary, I endorsed and supported the person that beat me. Mm-hmm. So I endorsed Cuomo. I'm now supporting the guy that beat him. So that's what it calls being a good Democrat is all about. Mm-hmm. You go in it, you give it your best shot. If the majority of the people feel the other guy was better, join the majority and help the other guy. And then the other guy will help you later on. I'll never forget the guy that I defeated when I ran for Congress. When he passed away, he told his children, I want Jim Clyburn to be the only speaker outside of my family at my service. So that is what we grew up doing, respecting the winner and going with the majority opinion. And so that's what we have to do in this instance. And so, yes, what happened in New York can't happen in South Carolina. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Nobody in the world. You know. No place.
Yeah.
Charleston or Columbia.
Yeah.
When you get down to Georgia, where we got the Wynn next year, what happened in New York ain't going to happen in Georgia. So we have got to respond to the local people, their dreams, their aspirations, and go out and get the message done. So let's not think that though I'm supporting the ticket up in New York, that ticket will not sell in Atlanta, Georgia.
One final thing here in the 2 minutes I have left with you. My White House correspondent was at the White House yesterday. He had a chance to ask. Actually, Donald Trump called on him yesterday. So the guy that does it for my show every day, Donald Trump called on him yesterday for the first time. He got 2 questions out, and one of his questions was about this new IRS ruling that churches can now be just outright political. They've been doing it anyway. Certainly on the political right, they've been doing it. But everybody's been worried about that line between church and state. But now all the churches, white and black, can just get deeply involved in politics and not be concerned about losing their 501c3 status. In 1 minute to go, you like that idea or you don't?
Yes, I do. Look, bring it out in the open.
Yeah.
It's been being done.
That's right.
I've stood in many pulpits and said, I didn't come here to tell you who to vote for, but I want you to know who I'm voting for. This kind of stuff. I've done it over and over again. So you might as well get out in the open with it.
Yeah.
And don't let people push you in the corner saying, fearful for your IRS. Look, how many times have you seen people in these evangelical churches with their hands on Trump's head?
That's right.
Praying for Trump?
That's right.
That's not an endorsement.
Yeah.
Anytime you pray for a person, I think that's an endorsement.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'm pleased to see that. And so it will say to these people of faith, let's not hide behind the faith. Remember what the book of James said there in the 2nd chapter? Faith without works
is dead.
That's
it.
So let's put our faith to work at the polls on election day.
Let me thank the Right Reverend Dr. Suffragan Bishop, Congressman James Clyburn, for coming back on this program once again. Stay strong, Congressman. I'll talk to you soon. All right, take care, my friend.
Okay, buddy.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Just getting started. Going to be a great show. You're listening, and I'm glad about it, to Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good.
Yeah, man.
Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Bronx Congressman Richie Torres is blasting New York City for failing to clean up the hub, calling it an open-air drug market with 20 overdoses a week.
The city is no closer to solving the public safety crisis in the hub. The conditions on the ground have gotten worse.
He says Black Mayor Eric Adams' crime plan is failing. A black female electrician is suing New Jersey Transit for $10 million, alleging racial and gender discrimination. Barbara Williams, the only black woman in her department, says she's been denied overtime and promotions and forced to supervise untrained workers, doubling her workload. And black former NBA guard Ben McLemore has been sentenced to over 8 years in an Oregon prison after being convicted of rape. The charges stem from a 2021 party at teammate Robert Covington's home while both played for the Portland Trail Blazers. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Is this the Tiger? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The losing streak is up to 6 for the Dodgers. They lost 3-2 at Milwaukee in 10 innings. The 6-game losing streak is the longest for the Dodgers since April of 2019. Something is going on with the Dodgers offense. They've scored only 5 runs in the last 42 innings. Nothing wrong with the Angels offense. They hit 4 home runs last night in their 11-8 win over Texas. If you're into NBA Summer League action, there's an interesting game today that might be worth your time. The rookies and free agents of the Lakers and Dallas Mavericks are meeting up today in Las Vegas. It's a chance to see Bronny James against Dallas rookie Cooper Flagg, the #1 pick in last month's NBA draft. ESPN will have live coverage, tip-off time at 5 p.m. The LA Sparks have a day game today at Crypto.com Arena. They played the Minnesota Lynx at noon. Minnesota has the WNBA's best record at 17-2. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. BET and PBS, The Tom Joyner Morning Show, and NPR, the cover of Jet and the cover of Time. #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list, 20 honorary doctorate degrees, a dozen NAACP Image Awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. From talk shows to talk radio, nobody's ever done it better. You like that? This is Tavis Smiley.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
What a great conversation that was with James Clyburn. I've talked to him more times than I can count over the course of my career, and that may have been one of our best, certainly one of our funniest. He was just dropping bars today. Again, in case you just tuned in, didn't hear him, he had a great line today. We were talking about President Boakai of Liberia in that viral clip with Donald Trump yesterday. The clip is everywhere now. Trump telling him, where'd you learn to speak English so well? And Clyburn told a great story and made the point that he has had to say many times over his career, given that he's a Southerner, just because I talk slow don't mean I can't think fast. Just one of the lines that James Clyburn dropped in our conversation today. So I thank him once again for coming on this program. I told you at the top of the hour, about 37 minutes ago, that we're going to have two conversations today about this Harvard Legacy of Slavery initiative in our second hour. Roshana Moore Evans, founder and principal strategist for Equity Empowerment, takes us inside her former role as the inaugural executive director of this now very controversial Harvard Legacy of Slavery initiative. But I want to have a conversation right now with Sean Wynn, who is the former president of the Harvard Black Law Students Association, to sort of lay out for you what this controversy is about regarding the Ivy League institution's slavery project, and specifically what students had to say about it or have to say about it. So let me start by welcoming Sean Wynn to this program. Brother Sean, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing amazing, Tavis. How about yourself?
Man, if I complained, I'd be an ingrate. So I'm doing amazing as well, all things considered. Let's make the most. Let's make the most of the time we have. As I said, we're going to talk to Roshana in the second hour today and get a little more in depth on this subject matter. But I wanted to start with you because I always love giving the students, former students at this point, their say first. So as you see this, let me again, these just some rudimentary questions here for those who have been reading about this but not really been following. It's been in the news so much lately. But what is this slavery project? What was it intended to be about? Let's start there, and then we'll talk about the controversy surrounding it.
Yeah, absolutely, and appreciate you for having me. Been a big fan for a long time.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm from Mississippi as well.
All right. Love that.
Kindred spirits.
The SIP.
HBCU
I love it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right, good. Hold up. Since you mentioned HBCU, I always do this. People are always kind to play the game the right way. You mentioned HBCU, but whenever that happens, I always give you a chance to shout it out. So go ahead and shout it out.
I love
there you
Jackson
go.
State, 100%. Absolutely.
I love it. Okay, now to the question I asked. Take it away, Sean Wynn.
Of course. So the Legacy of Slavery initiative, which is now defunct, and I know you have Ms. Moore Evans coming on later to get into that, but it really dates back to around 2007 to 2016. There were student faculty and seminars sort of led by faculty on campus to sort of surface the university's historical ties to slavery, and they sort of memorialize some of these enslaved individuals. One of the most notary is of course Belinda Sutton, who is memorialized all throughout the law school. So there was I think as society began to progress. I mean, you can look at the timeline, 2007, 2016, a black president is in office, one who came from Harvard Law. So there was a push on campus to really reconcile with this, right? And then the former president, who is now gone, Lawrence Bacow, in, I believe, late 2019, he actually launched it's called the Initiative on Harvard and the Legacy of Slavery. There was a committee that was chaired by Dean Tamika Brown Nagin, who runs the Radcliffe Institute, a Harvard Law alum as well. She also teaches at the law school, and it was there was a lot of momentum. We were sort of understanding that we were going to I think finally reconcile with the troubling history of slavery on this campus. And it was sort of a legendary thing, because there was $100 million that Harvard University committed to implementing, 7 key things about like memorializing, reparations, partnerships, and I forget some of the others. I think descendants and ID opportunities, right? Like there were $100 million, to go through that, and Harvard at the time, they recognized that they probably enslaved about, I think they said under 100, between 50 to 100 people, maybe around like 75. And what ended up happening, sort of over the next, from the time that was, sort of in, 2022, after, BACA launched the initiative, the findings came out in 2022, this large amount of money was given towards actually, doing something, and things sort of started to, from all of the students and the way that it has, came out in the what has actually happened is it appears that instead of the less than 100 people that were enslaved, the Harvard Slavery Remembrance Program, which was identified and tasked with finding these descendants that Harvard affiliates had enslaved, it was nearly 1,000 enslaved individuals who had been, and who had been tied to Harvard, right? Like that's a huge amount, a significantly higher amount than was initially expected. What happened after that was, sort of the abrupt, like just the shutdown coming out of nowhere. I think I believe Miss Moore Evans, and she'll tell you, but she had left before this happened, sort of at the end in the fall of 2024. And then at the start of this year, sort of after Trump was inaugurated, I think like a week after, we get wind on campus that Harvard had laid off all of the Harvard Slavery Remembering Project staff, including their replacement director. There was no prior notification from everything that we've heard, and they transferred all of the responsibility of this to a separate nonprofit called American Ancestors, which just, I mean, does not make sense, and it didn't make sense to us at the time, and it still doesn't. Yeah. I'm not one for, I just graduated from law school, so I'm definitely not one who is going to, hurl accusations without reason. But at the same time, it is just peculiar of the timing that, as the large amount of descendants that were tied to this institution that is supposed to represent everything that is right with, just being intellectual and being progressive, and, it seems to be an about face, if you will. So it was a huge, huge step back, and nothing from our understanding has happened since. I've not seen any reports from American Ancestors. I've not seen any continuation or following up of all the incredible work that, Harvard Slavery Remembrance Project was doing. So it's been upsetting.
Let me add one other thing to the mix, and when we come forward, I'll start my interrogation. Although I shouldn't tell a lawyer, I'm going to interrogate him, but I do have some questions for Sean Wynn when we come forward. I would add one other thing to the mix. He mentioned that, during this time period, 2007, 2016, a lot is happening. Of course, as he mentioned, there is a black president in that time period, Barack Obama, who's a product, as he also mentioned, of the Harvard Law School. But there, as this conversation, takes shape today, I also want us to remember that there was a black president of Harvard in this time frame as well, Claudine Gay, who came and got pushed out. So there's that we can add to the mix as well. How they again I think humiliated and embarrassed in many respects, and just forced out Claudine Gay. Not a lot of black folk were happy about that either. So there's a lot in this mix that I want to again spend some time sort of interrogating and giving our guests a chance to unpack over the next 75 minutes, 15 more minutes with Sean, and then we'll talk to Roshina Moore Evans in the second hour, who again was the inaugural director of this project. Anxious to get her take on it. But when we come forward, I want to ask Sean directly. Not that he speaks for all the students, black students at Harvard, but what students have been saying about Harvard just shutting this program down. They thought there were about 75 persons who they'd enslaved at Harvard. Turns out the number's closer to 1,000, maybe more. And then, just as he said, out of nowhere, Harvard shut this bad boy down, and ain't nobody heard nothing sense. $100 million commitment, and poof, it just disappears. That's why we're talking about it. You're listening to Sean Wynn on Tavis Smiley.
Generous listening.
Charitable listening.
It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
Yeah. At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone, and should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
No one wants to leave behind stress for their family. That's why a trust or a will is so important. Without one, your assets might go to the wrong people or leave out loved ones. Also, probate is long, expensive, and often avoidable with a revocable trust. Trustandwill.com makes it simple to create a personalized estate plan. A trust or will provides clarity and peace of mind. Get 20% off on your estate plan documents by visiting trustandwill.com/radio.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in.
But we're okay with that.
You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed. We're talking about why Harvard University just out of nowhere abandoned this slavery project that they had committed $100 million to. There's a story on CNN's website. It's actually a few places. I'm looking at it on CNN. That the websites serving Harvard undergrad women, minorities, and LGBTQ students have been taken down. So as Harvard suggests publicly with their posture that they're fighting the Trump administration, there's a plethora of other evidence that suggests that they are bending the knee in many respects like everybody else. So the websites that have been serving the undergrad women at Harvard and minorities at Harvard and LGBTQ students at Harvard, those websites have come down. So just add that again to all this stuff we're talking about with regard to how Harvard is trying to navigate this terrain right about now, on top of having abandoned this $100 million slavery project. I've just got 2 minutes here. We'll continue in a few minutes when we come forward, Sean. But in these next 2 minutes, tell me how you and the students have processed Harvard just, again, shutting this project down, walking away from it.
Yeah, no, that is a great question. And, what you spoke about with the, sort of the websites and, Harvard's other posturing, I think it is relevant because, myself and other students, when this happened in January of 2025, we had been subjected to, really 4 to 5 months already since getting back to school of, seeing Harvard not really taking the steps that we would have thought that a school would have taken if they lost, like basically Harvard was the defendant in, sort of SFFA, which sort of removed affirmative action. And Harvard did not, it was not sort of acting in a way that an institution that fought so hard to keep affirmative action and sort of to keep the, sort of the diverse perspectives at the school, like keep their presence, it didn't fight for them when it came back. It did not announce, sort of any sadness about what had happened or even acknowledge it. So I would say that in January when all this happened, it was saddening, but it wasn't surprising. I think it was confusing more than anything because it just doesn't make sense. Like, I think, doing this so openly and publicly without any sort of plans and nothing happening in the 7 months since, it doesn't make sense. And that's the thing that's the most confusing. But none of the students were surprised.
Yep. I want to ask this in our remaining moments with Sean Wynn when we come forward. We mentioned earlier the forced resignation of Claudine Gay as the first African-American, the first black woman to lead Harvard. We're talking about Harvard abandoning this $100 million commitment to this slavery project. All the attacks from Donald Trump that Harvard, again, is, posturing as if they want to fight. But, again, evidence abounds, as I just read about these websites being shut down, that they, too, are bending the knee. I'm curious as to what impact Sean Wynn, who is just now graduated, recent graduate of the Harvard Law School, but was president of the Black Law Students Association. I'm curious as to what this does to the psyche, to the spirit, to the soul of black students and black academics at an institution like Harvard. I know many who are there. But what impact does this have, again, on those black persons on this historic campus in Cambridge, the students, the faculty, the administration who happen to be black, who are just being put upon or seeing their institution being put upon and acquiesce on a regular basis? You're listening to Sean Wynn on Tavis Smiley.
Why does Tavis say, when we come forward?
Because he's not going back.
And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
Tavis Smiley is now ranked number 16 nationally and the highest rated talk show hosted by an African American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33, and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yay!
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies to same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
A quick addendum here before I ask my exit question of Sean Wynn. I mentioned moments ago these websites serving Harvard undergraduate women, minority students, LGBTQ students. These websites have come down at Harvard, even as they posture publicly like they are willing to fight the Trump administration. I should mention right quick that the White House welcomes the development, viewing it as a goodwill gesture. One White House official said today, describing it as good news. So the White House thinks it's good news that these websites have come down. They view it as a goodwill gesture as they keep smacking Harvard upside the head. And again, Harvard acting like they're going to fight, but behind the scenes, they're canceling websites, shutting down websites. They're canceling slavery projects to the tune of $100 million. I digress on that. In the 2 minutes I have left, again, Harvard's acting like they want to fight the administration, but it seems to me that the real battle at Harvard is on the campus for who Harvard really is going to be in the years to come. What say you, Sean Wynn?
Yeah, that is a great way to put it, and I think that is the real fight. I think it feels to black students, asked for 40 left, like, how do we feel? I can't speak for everybody. I can speak for myself, and, sort of the feelings of our organization is like, it feels as though we don't matter. When over, a third of the donations to this university for over a century were tied to the enslavement of our people. We have to fight for the right to, attend the school, and all of a whim, and, on a whim, it all seems to be gone. It's hard to feel as though we do matter and we are welcome, on this campus. But I will say that, we are myself and everybody who has came through this institution, who will continue to come through this institution, this is the space and the place to become, a black academic, a black lawyer, a black business, whatever, right? Like, this is absolutely still the place, and we are still fighting because we've been fighting this entire time. So, it is bad news, but we are not out of the fight.
So Sean Wynn is now the former president of the Harvard Black Law Students Association. Why? Because he's a recent graduate of the Harvard Law School. So to Sean Wynn, his entire family, we say congratulations on being another African-American finishing at the famed Harvard Law School. Sean, what do you intend to do with your career?
I am going to be moving to New York in a couple of months after I take the bar, and be practicing corporate law up there, and who knows after that. Okay, well, I wish you nothing but the best in the coming months and years. Congratulations once again on your graduation from Harvard Law School. Thank you for being president of the Black Students, the Black Law Students Association, and thank you and the association for raising your voice about this U-turn that Harvard did on this $100 million slavery project. All the best to you, Sean. Thank you for your time, sir. Thank you, Tavis.
Good to have you on this program. When we come forward our next hour, as I said, a conversation for the hour with the founder and principal strategist for equity empowerment, Roshana Moore Evans, but she was the inaugural executive director of this now controversial and abandoned Harvard Legacy of Slavery initiative. You'll hear her when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Bronx Congressman Richie Torres is blasting New York City for failing to clean up the hub, calling it an open-air drug market with 20 overdoses a week.
The city is no closer to solving the public's